back up.
Just a minute, just a minute.
I better hide these eggs in case you do bad. They might throw them. I'm unhooking again just for a second. If you'll direct your attention to the west here, we got the color guard from Florence, I believe. Ladies and gentlemen, there's our flag. And I think if you direct your attention to the north, the Air Force is coming through. Right here. Well, they said it wasn't the Air Force, it was the National Guard from Aulne. There you are. Country flowers. The high school class from the Aulne Church. God never changes. The Gospel Crusaders bus. See if he can get it around the corner there. Aulne Grain Company. Specials on rabbit food, dog food, and cat food, huh? Oh, and twine.
Found somebody to ride with in the parade.
I think we're planting bubble gum. How many of you remember the Aulne softball team? Unbeaten in how many years? Complete with cheerleaders? Wow. Complete with mascot? He's trying to get away, Gary. The Sandwell Kid. How about that? Is that the grocery store? Was that the grocery store? Okay. And the town clown. I think she's got a sore back. You keep walking like that and he'll be in trouble. Sunday school class number 7 with their model of the first only church, the cost of $2,000, and the circuit riding pastor. How about that? Have you raised your $1,000? Where's the poor pastor's wife? Walking. She's walking. And the bicycle gang. I think that one's going to play out there. His motor's missing just a little. Whoop! The Aulne cream and egg station. Eggs 3 cents a dozen. Cream 25 cents a pound. How about that?
How many you want?
How much milk did you get this morning? It must be too much. I see you're stirring it. Have you changed the stringer? Yeah, okay. There's a vintage model. Is that? Oh, we've come a long way, baby, huh? Nick, you ought to trade them in for a motorized one. No! Uh-huh. You take all the help you can get, huh? $1937. As long as you keep your foot on the pedal, it'll keep moving. They didn't build pickups like that when I was a kid. And this is the Aulne Angel. Yeah. How about that? They cruise Broadway and Main at night. You wouldn't run any faster than that if you only had 2 cylinders either. Is this a father-son deal? I believe this tractor was sent by the John Deere store from Marion. Why is the International bringing up the rear? They told me they painted John Deere's green to hide in the grass. Is that right?
It's a goodie, though.
It's a goodie. See you at our soapbox derby in Florence on Labor Day. There you go. And the Florence Fire Department. Uh-huh. She's leaking a little bit. Hey, what are you dragging the chain for? No, I never tried to push one. I guess you drag it. It says future parts for the copper shed. Oh, gonna go up another gear, huh? Calvin, he was leading who? Clifford says that the farm is getting tough. You only got one thing a dragon there. Waller. Silo Real Estate. What? Yeah, I can auction out there. Who was asking about the band? There it is. That's all out of one Sunday school class here at Aulne. Check that baton. If you'll notice this second trumpet player, he just came in off of the airplane. Doing double duty. What was that last note? I didn't quite get that one. Bob Marshall will be proud of you guys. Foreclosure sale. How about that? Taking the trunk and going away. A float from Peabody. Going fishing, I think. Virgil, where's the horses? The horses had it. Yeah, okay. Whip that thing a little bit. Oh! Have a runaway here. And Emil got in the parade. Here's the congregation and the pastor attending a service at the First Aulne Methodist Church, class number 10. There are our seniors in our church here. How about that? Pastor Lewis. What have we got here? Is this the posse?
Led by the women, you noticed.
What?
Led by the women, you noticed.
Yes. Everybody else is up front. I think we're getting close to the end. Oh, yeah. Clifford's going to be on the cleanup committee.
Hello, Eugene.
Hello there. How are you? Well, this is the Centennial Parade for Aulne this year. How did you like it? Whoa, baby. that, we'll kind of see what time it is, but we'll try and stay pretty much on schedule. We'll have some ice cream, and hopefully we have enough. There's a lot of people here, and we appreciate that. But we'll have some ice cream. How about that? Have you enjoyed the evening so far? Good. You know, this is the biggest crowd we've had in town for 100 years, I guess. Had a good time. Jerry and I got good and wet tonight. Shrunk 3 inches, I think. Well, where? Don't ask me that. My overall shrunk. We're waiting on a couple guys to get here. Like there they are. Are you ready? Stand, I think that would be appropriate. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Okay, you may be seated, and I think we'll just turn it over to Ellen now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. How can you get 100 years of history into just a few minutes? It's almost impossible. I'm just going to hit a few of the highlights and bring you some of the human interest stories that we've heard in the past. And I'd like to thank all those who have collected pictures and stories and facts in the past years so that we might preserve the history of our town of Aulne. Some of this that I use tonight is just hearsay, and sometimes one person hears it one way and some hears it another way. So if you have heard it another way, I'd be appreciated if you talk to me afterwards. I'm always looking for more history. Aulne was founded in 1887, but I want you to go back in your thoughts tonight to the year 1870. At this time, people were beginning to settle in this area. By 1873, Wilson Township was formed, and according to the 1880 census, there were 635 people living in Wilson Township. And I called down to the courthouse and asked how many were living in Wilson Township now, and it's 248. So you see, back in 1873, there were almost 3 times as many people living in this township as there are now. 3 of the early settlers who homesteaded where Aulne would later be located were Chapman, O.C. Brown, and W.C. McGinnis. They were the ones that homesteaded right in this spot where Aulne is. And in order to get the full history of Aulne, we start with the school. The school was first. It started in 1872. At that time, there were 2 boys and 8 girls, ages 5 to 21. So there were 10 children that needed a school. So Mr. Richard Cole built the first schoolhouse, and it was located on the north side of the road down here on the farm where Jerry Olson lives. There's a little block there where there are some trees around it, and looks like a well had been there. That's where the first school was located, and it was called the Cole School because Mr. Cole had built it. And at that time, they just had 3 months of school. They started in December and then had school in January and February. In those days, the early days, they usually had 3 or 4 months because the children stayed home and helped with the fall work, and then in the spring they had to stay home and help with the spring work. So they didn't have a full term of school. And then in 1885, according to the records, the name of the school was changed to Pleasant Grove. And in 1892, they needed a larger schoolhouse, and so they moved the little coal schoolhouse to Aulne, and it was used as a residence. It may be the one that you know as the Shill house down here. And in the notes I read that they paid Conrad Hett $12 for moving that schoolhouse to Aulne. Then they built a new frame building in the same spot. And attendance fluctuated. Sometimes they had 1 teacher, sometimes 2 teachers. And the largest attendance that was recorded was in 1910, when they had 85 pupils enrolled. But do you know what the average daily attendance was? It was 39. So you can see they had a lot of pupils, but they weren't very regular in attendance. And then in 1917, they decided to build a new brick schoolhouse. And that's the one probably most of you remember and probably went to school in if you went to school at Aulne. It was on the south side of the road, and it had 2 floors and a basement, and they built it with the idea of having high school at Aulne. And they did have it here for 1 semester. Aulne Carroll was telling me about that. He went here 1 semester, but he said they couldn't get enough to go the next year, so they discontinued high school. In 1926, I thought it was interesting, Wilbur Gale and Edna Freeman were teaching, and Edna Freeman is here this evening. She was one of my teachers. And that year, in 1926, they had 38 pupils and 136 cases of tardiness. So I suppose in those days children walked to school and they had, they just didn't get here on time. And their salary at that time was $100 a month. The teacher that taught here the first year the school was built, when it was still the coal schoolhouse, got $30 a month for teaching. Then the enrollment of the school kept decreasing until in 1964 the doors of the school were closed. That year they had 12 pupils, and ours was one of the last rural schools in Marion County to consolidate with the town schools. The schoolhouse was torn down then, and there are 2 houses in Marion that were built with the brick from that old schoolhouse. All right, the school was 1872. Then in 1875, Mr. O.C. Brown, who lived on the farm just east of here, where Jerry Olson lives now, decided that we needed a church. And so he talked to the bishop's brother and also to the minister that was preaching at Peabody then, and told them about the spiritual needs of the neighborhood. And Reverend Harris at Peabody said that he would come and preach at Aulne every other Sunday. Of course, it wasn't Aulne then. It was just a neighborhood. And so Mr. Brown got the people together and they collected $30. And they wanted to pay him that for preaching. And he says, I don't preach for money, I preach to win souls. And so he came as a preacher every other Sunday for a while. And that was the beginning of the circuit riders then. And they had their church in that little cold schoolhouse to begin with. That's where it was held every Sunday. And it was on this Brown's homestead where it was located, of course. And Mr. Brown had a little stone house back behind his home. And when the circuit riders came through, they would stay in that little stone house back of his house. It was there until just a few years ago. Then in 1896, the little white frame church was built. It was 26 feet by 45, had a belfry. It was the one that we made the replica of tonight. And there are some interesting stories that go along with this little church. Aulne Carroll told me one. he thought it was around 1908 or 1909, that he recalled when he was a young lad living north of Aulne, that he rode his pony to Aulne one afternoon and tied it to a hitching post just south of the little frame church. Now, the little frame church was built right where this brick church is today. And so he had tied his little pony there, and during the afternoon a thunderstorm came up, and lightning struck the steeple of the church and set it afire. And some of the men across the street were at a blacksmith shop, and they ran across to the church and tried to tie a rope to the burning tower and thought they could pull it down, but that didn't work. So Jake Patkowski, who was the blacksmith, climbed to the roof with an axe and chopped the steeple off, saving the little church from burning. But a few years later, in November 27th of 1915, the little white church burned. They were having revival meetings at the time, and in those days they had a stove and they banked the fire at night, you know, to keep it. Anybody that's built fires knows what I mean. And they thought that was what had caused the fire, because it started burning about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And they said there was a train on the track, and the engineer saw the fire, and he pulled his whistle, toot, 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 as long as he could toot, and tried to wake the town people. And he woke the lady at the telephone operator, and she gave the line rings, told everybody that the church was on fire, and they all came in with buckets and tubs and so forth, but nothing could be done to save the little church, and it burned to the ground. Then they started having their services in the hall that was located across the street from the church at that time. And they had it there 2 or 3 years until the new church was built in 1917. And that's the church that stands here today. And today, as in the pioneer days, the church remains the center of both the religious and social activities of the community. And it's what has helped to keep the town of Aulne alive. Now we go back to 1887 when Aulne was born. The railroad was being built through here at that time, and in July of 1887, the town was platted. The railroad company officials and the postal inspector were here in the town trying to decide a name, and they thought they should name it Brownsville or something like that because of Mr. Brown being a prominent citizen and being, you know, furnishing a lot of the land and so forth. But they already had that name. So they looked around, they said, there were some railroad workers standing there, and they said, well, what's your name? And the one man said, Aulne. And they said, well, that's a good name, and that's where they got the name of Aulne. And it's a hard name to spell. When we were in the post office in the elevator, we got letters with Aulne spelled all kinds of ways. A-L-N-E-Y and A-L-U-N-E and A-L-K-N-E, and you know, they just didn't understand how to spell Aulne, but it's a French name, and there is a river in France that has the name of Aulne, and so that's where Aulne got its name. And of course, after the town was started, there was an Aulne Town Company formed, and Mr. O.C. Brown, W.C. McGinnis, Willis Westbrook, Arthur Clark, and F.H. Collock were the men who formed the Aulne Town Company. And its purpose was to locate and lay out and sell lots. And by 1914, the population of Aulne had grown to 175 to 200 people, but it never did have enough people to incorporate. There were lots of business establishments in Aulne at one time. You could hardly believe it looking at it tonight, but business developed rather slowly. It's said that Mr. Danskin was proprietor of the first general store and also built the first residence in town. Danskin eventually sold his store to J.H. Winkley, and then it was sold from one to another. Then Conrad Head established the Aulne Mercantile Company in 1903, and it was the largest general mercantile in Aulne. It had four clerks in 1914, and it did a yearly business amounting to $34,000. They had dry goods and overalls and just a little bit of everything anybody would need at that time. And the company was also the largest shipper of produce in the city and shipped several cars of butter and eggs and poultry. Then we had cream stations. That was before 1900. Aulne had a cream station, and it was run by Mr. Jansen, who owned several creameries in the county. The farmers would bring their whole milk in. They didn't have separators at home, but they would bring their whole milk in, and then this man would separate the cream from the milk and send the skim milk back to the farm with the farmers. And the cream was then put in 10-gallon cans that had wooden jackets around them, and these cans were hauled over to Canada, Kansas. They were hauled by team and wagon. And the story is told of two of the early drivers who were Ike Klein and Ted Priesting. And once while Priesting was driving his team and wagon after a heavy rain, his horses and wagon and himself were washed from the bridge over Spring Branch Creek into the flooded waters. And they said the cream cans went bobbing down the creek, but Priesting held tightly to the horse's reins and struggled to safety. And the cans of cream were gathered later from several miles downstream. And then Pete Unruh and Jake Cush both had cream stations in Aulne. And we had stockyards just north of where the depot used to be. It was an important shipping center. A lot of the farmers from around would drive their hogs and cattle to Aulne and take them to market that way. They'd bring their hogs up, and then they'd ride the caboose and ride up to Kansas City or wherever they took their hogs. Then in 1907, a big flour mill was located here. It was over behind the present elevator office in that area. And they milled ideal flour. And Lewis Larson said that they had a flour sack that had a bird on it, and it carried a banner that said ideal flour. And it discontinued operation along in 1912 or 13, we're not sure, but it didn't last too long, about 5 or 6 years. And then, of course, we had the Aulne State Bank. We still have the building over here, and it's one of the few remaining businesses in the buildings in the town. The windows are broken out, and the door is hanging ajar, so it is said Aulne is the only town with a bank that's open 24 hours a day and on Sundays too. But it started in 1909, and their first statement showed a capital of $10,000, and the loans and discounts were $19,840, and the deposits totaled $26,581. And you know for yourself that a lot of people have that much in just one deposit now, but that was the total of all the deposits in Aulne at that time. There were several different ones that worked in the bank. V.O. Johnson was one that probably comes to mind of a lot of people. He was president of the bank for a while, and he's the one that built the house where Dr. Branch had his farm. That's down east of Aulne. And it's told of him that he embezzled some of the money and had to go to the pen. He served some time in the penitentiary at Lansing. I think Lewis Larson could tell you something about that, because his dad and also his father-in-law were stockholders at that time. Later on, the bank was robbed different times. The last time they thought it was an inside job. Some money disappeared and they didn't know where it went. The banker said that there was a man robbed him and ran down the track, but nobody knew much about it, but they thought that it was an inside job, and it wasn't long after that then the bank closed. Then, of course, we still have one business going in Aulne that was here years ago, and that's the grain elevator. This grain company started in 1914, and at that time they were shipping an average of 110 cars of wheat a year to eastern markets, and the elevator had a capacity of 14,000 bushel, and that's just about what the main part of the elevator has now, but the storage bins and all that have been added later. Between 1900 and 1920, there was a barber shop, a garage, a dray and jitney service. There was a restaurant. One woman served meals and rented rooms for overnight guests. Orville Meesey had a harness shop here. And right across the street here, there was a Comley Lumber Company that was owned by Comley in Wichita, and it located a branch here in 1906. They carried lumber and building and paints and oils and anything you would need. Then we had the big Aulne Community Center building. That was the one that was west of the church. And they said that Anti-Horse Thief Association would hold meetings there. We had lots of community meetings there. It was a big two-story building. The top part was for entertainment and so forth, and then down on the bottom floor there were several different ones that ran grocery stores through the year. And in 1914, a reporter from the Topeka Capital came to Aulne, and he said reported that it was a trading center flourishing. Business probably remained stable in Aulne for several years after this. Around 1927, there were at least 10 businesses in Aulne, including 2 groceries, a bank, a service station, garage, music, and radio store. But the population by 1971 had dwindled down to 35 people. And part of the reason for that was that people started going to larger towns. The cars came in, you know, and they could go farther. And a lot of people left Aulne during the Depression to find better jobs. And they moved a lot of the houses out to, some of them went to Newton, some went to Marion. One house from Aulne went up to Strasburg and is the parsonage up there. There used to be a parsonage here at Aulne. It was in this grove of evergreen trees right back here, and it was moved to Marion, and it's right west of the Eastmore Church. So those are some of the houses that used to be in Aulne. Of course, we had several telephone girls. We had a telephone office, telephone operators. We never did really have a doctor that resided here. There weren't enough people, I guess, but we did have a dentist that would travel around and come in and set up his chair once in a while, bring a few tools and spare teeth, and take care of the people that needed taking care of. And then in the 1920s, Dr. Branch set up his dental office in the Branch House east of Aulne, and he had his business there for several years. And the most through the years, agricultural industry has really been the most important business in the Aulne vicinity, and the farmers from all around have helped to make it the community that it is. I have an interesting little story about it took place during the 1930s. I entitled it Gas Springs Up in Aulne. Some of you probably remember this. During the 1930s, when L.V. Chapman had the blacksmith shop in Aulne, he started noticing an unusual odor in the water he pumped from his well, located across the street south of the church. It smelled like gas. He had it tested and found out it was leaded gas. It wasn't long until all the wells around that immediate area were contaminated. Lou Chapman started pumping the gas out with the water, so he got the idea of raising the pump pipe above the water level and pumping out pure gas. He could get only a few gallons at a time, so he pumped several times a day. He stored this in a barrel inside his shop and used it in the car that his kids drove to school. He also furnished gas to his brother Ellis to do fall plowing. He was wise enough to take the pump handle off at night so no one else could pump it. From where did this gas come? Townspeople finally figured it out. One of the filling stations in town had overhead storage, a tank that held over a semi-load of gasoline. One day, the semi-driver brought a load of gas in, hooked up to fill the storage tank, and then went into the back room of the station and started playing a game of ping pong. After several games, they went out to check and found that the hose had come loose and gas had run down the ditch. The trailer truck was empty, and also both storage tanks. And the townsfolk believe that after a few years, the gas seeped down into a strata of rock and stayed in that level and spread out into the water wells. The parsonage and church wells were both affected, as well as the others within a 300 or 400 foot radius. L.B. Chapman and his family were really the only ones who benefited from the gas spill. And at that time, my brother Ernest Hett, he's the one that has the copper shed, was writing poetry. He was just a young boy in high school, and so he wrote a little poem about Aulne that fits in real well at that time. Now remember, this was in the 30s. If you want to live in a city or either a beautiful town, just move to the city of Aulne. It's the best city around. Her streets and beautiful gardens will always catch the eye of the farmer or the traveler or even the passerby. The population of Aulne, I believe, is 99, or maybe 'twould be 200 if I counted all the swine. Since Palmer has moved from Aulne and taken with him his swine, the population of Aulne would still be 99. Compared with the size of the town and also the population, I think it could well be run with only one filling station. At that time we had 2 or 3. There's a large goat ranch in Aulne, where the goats are dressed in silk. The town is furnished with goat meat and also with pure goat milk. The ranch belongs to the Chapmans. They sure must feed them well, for once in a while they take a load to Wichita to sell. With all the goats in Aulne and all the goat meat to eat, this little town of Aulne, it surely can't be beat. There's gas springing up in Aulne. She's soon a-going to boom. You'd better move to Aulne, for soon there won't be room. So he still had high hopes for Aulne, didn't he? There were many ways, many different types of entertainment through the years at Aulne. Ever since the 1900s, we've always had ball teams, and they've been good ball teams. They've won a lot of their games. And of course we had a band that was organized in 1931. There were 20 members at that time, and this band played for ice cream socials, and they went to the county fair and marched in the parade. And one night we went over to Canada and played with the Canada band. And it is said that there were 103 instruments, so you remember the Canada band was a big band, so they must have had about 80 people in their band. We just had 20. And then the community meetings were a great source of entertainment. We always had every month we'd have a community meeting, and different ones in the community would take part in the drama clubs, or they'd get up 3-act plays, and they'd give it at the community meeting. Then they would travel around to all the other rural schools and give those plays. One evening, Lloyd and I counted up at least 25 different schools that they had given this one play at. We might have missed a few of the schools, but that was great entertainment at that time. And of course, the Anti-Horse Thief Association sponsored an annual picnic and ball games, and there were EHUs, farm bureaus, and 4-H groups. They were all very active. One 4-H group tells that they put on a play, and they won first in the county, and first in the district, and then they won second in the state. Then we also had Chautauquas here in Aulne. They put one time they had the big tent here, another time they had it across the street. Very huge tents. That was 1913 and 1914. We still have some tickets from the Chautauqua. Of course, Aulne had its share of tragedies. One time, years ago, just after the grain elevator was built, a little boy drowned in one of the wheat bins. They got up in the wheat bin to play, and they thought it was fun to watch the wheat run down. But one time they went too far, and one little boy was covered with wheat and smothered. Then we also had the typhoid fever epidemic in Aulne. We lost one of the girls, Gladys Butte, and several others suffered a lot from this typhoid fever. And it was thought that the fever was caused by contaminated well water that was used by a town man who sold milk to the townspeople. Robert Burkholder was killed right over here at the railroad tracks. He tried to crawl between the cars of a train that was standing on the track, but suddenly it jerked and caused him to fall beneath the wheels and lose his life. And then, of course, we've had several bad train wrecks right here in Aulne. There were two right here at the crossing. One was a streamline train that hit a freight train. The freight train hadn't pulled in off the siding entirely. The streamline, you know, those were the trains that went fast. At that time, I think with 90 to 100 miles an hour. That may not seem fast now, but it did then. And it hit the freight train and derailed the streamline and laid a lot of the cars over on its side. And it didn't hurt didn't kill anybody. They unhooked the engine from the freight train and backed it up and hooked it onto some of the cars of the streamliner and loaded the people in and took them on to Marion. I remember that night because we woke up and heard the people hollering and came down. We were living up north at the time, but we came down in the middle of the night, saw the accident there. And then another time before that, there was a freight train that derailed. Maybe a lot of you remember that. And they scattered hogs and flour and potatoes especially all along the track. And I remember all the people from out on the farms and places came in and picked up those and took them home. At that time they let you do that. I don't think they'd let you do that now probably. Another interesting fact about Aulne was that at one time Tabor College, Aulne was considered as a place for Tabor College to be built. They were considering Aulne, Lehigh, and Hillsboro. But Hillsboro furnished more financial support, so they got the college, the Tabor College. And I got a letter this week from the president of the Tabor College, so I'll read it at this time. Dear friends, congratulations on your 100th anniversary. Tabor and Aulne have been good neighbors since 1908 when Tabor was founded. Tabor holds Aulne in particular respect because it was Aulne, a progressive civic and business community on the main line of the Rock Island, that made a significant financial offer for the college to locate there. We have always appreciated that interest. We wish a good and pleasant day for your anniversary and look forward to many more good years as your neighbor. So Aulne is no longer a busy trading center, but it's still a community of friends and neighbors who take pride in their little town. And I think the young people are to be commended tonight for the pride that they take in their town, for all the work that they have done to get this centennial ready, and for the good work that they do in keeping the town clean and nice looking like it is. And I think we should give them a hand for that. I'm going to close with a little poem that I wrote last week entitled My Hometown. I've traveled east and I've traveled west, and I'll tell you what I like the best. It's coming back to my hometown where people never let you down. They are friendly folk who band together to help each other in all kinds of weather. The town has dwindled to very small, but to me it's the greatest little city of all. The small towns and the villages that are strewn across our land are the backbone of our nation, symbol of freedom. May she forever stand. To build this town and community, brave pioneers strived without renown. So we honor them in our hearts today. Long live Aulne, it's my hometown.
We'd like to thank Ellen for presenting us with that lot of facts about Aulne. You know, we can always ask her about what's happened in the past. She usually has some information for us all, and we appreciate all she's done for this community and this town. Right now, I think we're going to go ahead and turn it over to a group who I really appreciate. If you guys want to go ahead and start coming up. we'll get you introduced here. Most of these guys, well, actually 3 out of the 4 are related to me. I'm kind of proud of that, and the other one I kind of call my relation also, but that's not actually bloodline. But we have the Gospel Crusaders here tonight, and we have Carl Phillips behind me. He's from Wichita. I think you know the other 3. I'll let them introduce who they are. But I'd like to give them a big round of applause for the Gospel Crusaders.
He came down to my level when I couldn't get up to his. With a strong arm, he lifted me up to show me what living is. He'll come down to your level if you'll open up the door. Wants to make your life worth living. That's what he came down for. If you're looking for contentment in the things that you can see, you're gonna have some disappointment. Won't you listen to me, please? Cause I know my Savior, he came down to be a man. When he left me, sent his spirit, he made me everything I hear. He came down to my level when I couldn't get up to his. With a strong arm, he lifted me up to show me what living is. He'll come down to your level if you'll open up the door. Wants to make your life worth living. That's what he came down for. Sometimes I make decisions and later I regret, but the Lord keeps on assuring me he's not finished with me yet. Not to worry about tomorrow, and not to worry about yesterday, not to worry about this crazy world, cause I found a better way. He came down to my level when I couldn't get up to his. With a strong arm he lifted me up to show me what living is. He'll come down to your level if you'll open up the door. Wants to make your life worth living. That's what he came down for. He came down to my level when I couldn't get up to his. With a strong arm he lifted me up to show me what living is. He'll come down to your level if you'll open up the door. Wants to make your life worth living. That's what he came down for. Wants to make your life worth living. That's what he came down for. Jesus came as a child into this world full of problems. Then he taught to repent and believe. Then he died on the cross in God's plan of salvation, so that man through him might be saved. Not my will, thine be done. Pray Jesus, may the same prayer be mine every day. When this robe of flesh that I wear makes me falter, guide my steps, hold my hand all the way. If I ask for things that I should not ask for, if I pray for things selfishly, if I ask for myself and not for my neighbor, lift this veil from my eyes, let me see. Not my will, thine be done. Pray Jesus, may the same prayer be mine every day. When this robe of flesh that I wear makes me falter, guide my steps, hold my hand all the way. Not my will, thine be done. Pray Jesus, may the same prayer be mine every day. May this love that I wear makes me falter, guide my steps, hold my hand all the way, all the way, all the way.
Boy, it's loud up here. I can hardly hear myself think. You know, I'm impressed. I'm not from Aulne. I've got to admit that. I'm the outsider here, the outcast. But I am certainly impressed by the crowd and all the smiling faces. And I know now how Eugene got his start. Listening to the history and the robbery of the bank, and he runs south on the tracks. It's obvious to me. Eugene, that new tractor, right? Is that that's a signature loan from the bank or something like that, I guess. I want to introduce the guys, but first of all, there's a lot of people here that were in that parade. And when you went around here, you heard a little bit of clapping. But I'd like everybody that was in the parade to stand. In the parade.
Stand up.
Everybody in the parade. There's some back there. Okay, let's give them a hand. Okay, everybody. Thank you. We enjoyed that. I had a hand clap a little bit ago for the people that put it together, and that's an impressive lot. You guys, I guess, were involved in that too, right? Let me introduce the guys quickly. Over on the piano, Eugene Just. Lives down the tracks at the end of the little, you know, from the bank. There you go. Eugene plays our piano, drives a tractor when we farm, does everything, drives the bus. We're proud of him. Somebody a while ago wanted him to yodel. How many of him want him to yodel? All right, after a while, we'll let him do that. Eugene, that was your applause, okay?
That's all you get.
That's all you get. We're proud of him. Make him welcome, if you will, again. Eugene Just. Now, when we travel, we go all over the state and everything. We call him the self-appointed mayor of Aulne. Does anybody want to dispute that tonight? We could have a runoff here if you'd like. Hey, here's somebody back here. You're not the mayor of Aulne. Well, can you share it? Is it okay if once in a while I call him that? Okay, that's fine. We're proud of Eugene. Next to him is Rod, his son. Now, your brothers are here. Your whole family's here. Your mother's here. Where's Betty? Betty's over this way.
There she is.
Hey, all right. Now
The one with the peacock feathers.
the one with the peacock feathers. She was a cheerleader for the ball team that passed in the parade. Betty, we're proud of you. Eugene's wife, Rod's mother. Rod sings our tenor part. We're proud of him too. In just how many days you're getting married?
2 weeks from yesterday.
The 19th of July, 18th of July. Well, I'll be glad it's over. Let's listen to this up. Every place we go, I invite everybody to come.
Hey, we're going to have a good time.
That's right. Bring your food. Be sure and bring some food because we're going to get hungry if everybody shows up. Assyria, Kansas on the 18th of July, I'm sorry. And his fiance is back on our soundboard, Lynn Carlson. Lynn, raise your hand. Okay. Give Rod a hand. He sings our tenor part. Thank you. Next to Rod is Lyle. Now, Lyle got married in May 31st. And Ann, his wife, is sitting right here. Thank you. Lyle is a co-owner of Cyber Real Estate. You weren't in the buggy that was pulling the thing. Because you were marching band, weren't you? Drummer. All right. But he's a co-owner. He's our auctioneer. We go to a lot of places and do a lot of benefits, and he auctions off everything from left to right.
He's going to auction a little bit later on.
Is that right?
You bet.
Okay.
Right after the program, we're going to have a little auction.
What are you going to sell?
We're going to sell some meat.
Whatever.
You bet.
Okay.
We got some meat left over. We're going to sell it.
He's gonna be an auctioneer tonight. All right. We're proud of Lyle. He sings our lead part. Lyle Lefke. Give him a hand. If you would, please. My name is Carl Phillips. I'm from Wichita. My wife Donna's right down in front. Make sure that I'm on cue or on key or whatever, I suppose. And I forgot some of those words in the last song because we haven't practiced in a long time. Apologize for that. I sing the baritone part. We're the Gospel Crusaders. We're glad to be home in Aulne. Thanks.
The rock shall not cry out in my place. As long as I have a breath to lift my voice and give him praise. As long as I can make a joyful noise, I'll sing and shout. And never let the rocks cry out. The rock shall not cry out, for joy is mine. I will lift my voice. I've got every reason under heaven to rejoice. The God I serve is great, exalted high above the earth.
All creation shall declare it, but I've got to praise him first.
The rock shall not cry out in my place. As long as I have a breath to lift my voice and give him praise. As long as I can make a joyful noise, I'll sing and shout. And never let the rocks cry out. I'll lift my voice and sing a praise to God. Glory to his name. He's praise. As long as I can make a joyful noise, I'll sing and shout, and never let the rocks cry out. The rocks shall not cry out in my place. As long as I have a breath to lift my voice and give him praise. As long as I can make a joyful noise, I'll sing and shout, and never let the rocks cry out. The rocks shall not cry out in my place. As long as I have a breath to lift my voice and give him praise. As long as I can make a joyful noise, I'll sing and shout, and never let the rocks cry out. As long as I can make a joyful noise, I'll sing and shout, and never let the rocks cry out.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. In New York Harbor stands a lady with a torch raised to the sky, and all who
Jesus, put a yodel in my soul. Jesus, 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 set me free. Holiday, holiday, holiday. Jesus, 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 set me free. Holiday, holiday, holiday. He helps me give up my sinful ways. Night and day I'm singing His praise. All is well in my life, I know, for Jesus put a yodel in my soul. Jesus, 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 set me free. Holiday, holiday, holiday. Jesus, 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 set me free. Holiday, holiday, holiday.
We're certainly glad to be here. We're going to sing one more song and then I think turn it over to the Aulne boys. You wanted it, you got it. Okay? Now, if you can't sleep tonight, it's your own fault for asking for it, okay? We're proud of Eugene. Just once in a while he gets kind of out in left field, you know. You know, successful farmers, they say, are outstanding in their field. You know, every now and then we have to go drag him in to get him on a bus and go, so. Are you going to shave your beard or mustache or whatever that thing is off now?
I'm going to shave it as soon as I get home. It's going down the still.
We've been giving him a lot of trouble with that, you know. I mean, he was ugly before he started, and this was terrible.
Well, I saw that baritone, and I thought I'd look at that, you know. It wasn't that bad.
We're going to sing one more song. We're heaven bound, okay? All right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Now I know just where I'm going, heaven bound, I'm ready, Lord, for that sweet someday. Now I know just where I'm going, heaven bound, I'm ready, Lord, and I'll be on my way. Oh, I feel good every day, 'cause I'm walking down the narrow way, passing through my heaven bound. Got me a ticket now, and I'm gonna ride on that glory train, 'cause I know that I'm going home. I'm heaven bound. Now I know just where I'm going, heaven bound, I'm ready, Lord, for that sweet someday. Now I know just where I'm going, heaven bound, I'm ready, Lord, and I'll be on my way. I'm getting ready, 'cause good times are looking around. Soon I'll be leaving, yes, I'm going home, I'm heaven bound. Now I know just where I'm going, heaven bound, I'm ready, Lord, for that sweet someday. Oh, now I know just where I'm going, heaven bound, I'm ready, Lord, and I'll be on my way. Now I know just where I'm going, heaven bound, I'm ready, Lord, for that sweet someday. Oh, Lord, I'm ready. Now I know just where I'm going, heaven bound, I'm ready, Lord, and I'll be on my way. Don't you know I'm ready, Lord, and I'll be on my way. Yes, I'm ready, Lord, and I'll be on my way.
I'd like to say a quick thing about the next group coming up. I'm pretty closely related, a little bit anyhow, to the The baritone singer is my brother Rick. And the rest of them are all free stings except Rick's wife, Mary Lou. The only boys and Mary Lou. Make them welcome. Couple things right before we get started. We're going to have an ice cream social in about 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll try and have the ice cream set up outside instead of everybody having to go in. Hopefully we have enough ice cream, we'll just see. But we'll set them up outside and just go by and pick up some ice cream, and the plates and spoons are provided, or the cups and spoons or whatever. Okay, while we set up for that, we will have an auction for like Dad said, I think we have some meat. We have some, a brick, I think, that Ellen had from the old school or something that she painted up. I don't know where she's at. Right down there, okay. We have some, I think 2 or 3 things that Ern made, I'm not sure, back here. Also, we still have some, well, we have some caps, I think, left. The T-shirts, most of them sold, but we're going to order some more. So if you do want some T-shirts or anything, talk to them back there and we'll order some for you. We'll have probably a little beard judging thing also, because we got some pretty ugly ones out there. And one other thing on the ice cream social, we're not charging anything on that, but also we will have a donation bucket out there, but so to help defray some of the costs that have gone into this.
Yeah, we really appreciate all the donations we've received so far in that basket. For those of you who missed it the first time around, we'll give you another chance.
Don't be scared. Okay, we're ready to get started. Who can move the mountains that are hindering you today? Who can pick them up like pebbles, clear them from the way? Who can prove his power when a Christian kneels to pray? It is Jesus. He's the one. He's the one. Jesus holds all power in his mighty hands divine. He's the one who healed the sick, turned water into wine. He makes all things possible, and he's a friend of mine. Blessed Jesus, he's the one who can heal the heartache that is crushing you within. Who can pour the balm of heaven where the hurt has been? Who can chase the shadows, make the song of joy begin? It is Jesus. He's the one. He's the one. Jesus holds all power in his mighty hands divine. He's the one who healed the sick, turned water into wine. He makes all things possible, and he's a friend of mine. Blessed Jesus, he's the one, the only one, who can keep you from all harm and guide you by his hand. Who can give you power for service and There are mansions left and right, and you'll thrill to every sight, and the saints are always smiling, saying, how do you do? Oh, it's a great, great morning, your first day in heaven, when you realize your worrying days are through. You'll be glad you were not idle, took time to read your Bible. It's a great morning for you. I had a dream, and I'll confess I hated to awake.
He dreamed he was an angel at the great pearly gates.
St. Peter said, why, hello there, where have you been?
We've got your mansion ready, so come right in.
And he rang for an angel to across the sky. He spread his wings a time or two and learned how to fly. Oh, it's a great, great morning, your first day in heaven, when you stroll down the golden avenue. There are mansions left and right, and you'll thrill to every sight, and the saints are always smiling, saying, how do you do? Oh, it's a great, great morning, your first day in heaven, when you realize your worrying days are through. You'll be glad you were not idle, took time to read your Bible. It's a great morning, a great morning. What a happy day. Oh, it's a great morning, a great morning. What a happy day.
Oh, yeah. I think we're warmed up and ready to go. Too bad we can't sing for an hour or two. Anyways, we call ourselves the Aulne Boys. We're glad to be here tonight. Well, I just think I'll introduce who we are tonight, and on the far left, who plays the piano for us, is my wife, Mary Lou Just. I didn't know what to say quite there, but she takes care of me at home and takes care of us guys, takes care of the money and all that good stuff, so we appreciate all she does for us. Why don't we give her a round of applause. Mary Lou Just. Stand up, Mary. There we go. We get a lot of flack for being called the Only Boys, and they always say, well, where's Mary Lou fit in? So I guess we're the Only Boys and Mary Lou. I don't know. Carl always gives us a bad time about that. Anyways, singing the low bass on the left over here is Mike Freesting. Does a good job for it. Singing the high tenor is Kevin Freesting. Yeah. We have Terry Freesting singing the lead. They are brothers, by the way, and Don and Medora is their mom and dad, and I don't know where they're at. Don's got a pretty ugly beard sitting out there somewhere, and Medora's probably helping getting ready for the ice cream. So, anyways, we're pretty proud of them. My name is Rick Justin. I sing the baritone part. I usually get my foot in my mouth most of the time, but I guess I have the gift of gab. I don't know what. We normally don't dress like this, but I don't know what this is for sure. That's the first day I've ever worn anything like this, and I'm not so sure.
This is just loud and obnoxious.
Yeah. I don't know. Dad, I don't think would have let me wear that at home. But anyways, I'm not at home anymore. So, I don't know what they are, but we had them for our band, so we're going to wear them. Jams, I guess. I don't know. Kind of strange. Mary Lou made me wear them. Well, we're going to do a song now that comes from our latest tape we did, well, the only tape we've done. And if you turn some... the latest of millions. If you turn some reverb up on this song when we get going, it's called Passing the Faith, and we'd like to do that for you tonight.
Passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. Helping to build the faith of another, passing the faith along. Sharing a word of hope with my brother, helping to make him strong. Passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. Passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. Helping to build the faith of another, passing the faith along. Sharing a word of hope with my brother, helping to make him strong. Passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. The runner of a relay finds in his baton purpose for the running and strength to carry on. We hold within our grasp the faith that makes us strong, and like the relay runner, we seek to pass it on. my brother, passing the faith along. Helping to build the faith of another, passing the faith along. Sharing a word of hope with my brother, helping to make him strong. Passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. Countless generations of saints have come and gone. The spark ignites as an ember fades and the faith continues on. A challenge to the young and assurance for the old. And the flame burns ever brighter each time my story's told. Passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. Helping to build the faith of another, passing the faith along. Sharing a word of hope with my brother, helping to make him strong. Passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. Well, we are passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. Helping to build the faith of another, passing the faith along. Sharing a word of hope with my brother, helping to make him strong. Passing the faith along to my brother, passing the faith along. Well, we are passing the faith along. Yeah, we are passing the faith along.
I'll give Rick's mouth a little break here.
Thank you very much.
We were going to try and keep this kind of light this evening, but this next song really does have a real good meaning to it, and for just a little bit I'd like to explain kind of our feelings about this song. Nowadays, you know, it seems like there's a lot of negative things going on in the world today, and a lot of times it makes us wonder what's going on, and to a lot of people that, you know, suicide is so high, people go, what's the use of even living? And it's real sad to me that there has to be this kind of thing in the world. And you know, Christians and non-Christians alike are going to suffer in this world. It doesn't say anywhere that a Christian is going to have it any easier than a person who isn't. But the great thing, the great promise that there is available to us is that no matter what happens to us on this earth, we're going to go to a greater reward someday, and we'll be able to go to heaven. And kind of our testimony in the song, one part it says, while I'm here, I'll serve him gladly and sing him all these songs. And we feel that God has given us a talent, maybe a slight talent or whatever, to sing for him. But, you know, we'd like to use this talent for him, so that's kind of our testimony that's built into this song. And, you know, no matter what happens to us on this earth that we call home, someday we're going to get our reward in heaven, and that's really going to be home where we belong.
They say that heaven's pretty and living here is too. But if they say heaven's pretty and living here is too. But if they said that I would have to choose between the two, I'd go home, going home. Sometimes when I'm dreaming, it comes as no surprise. And if you look, you'll see that homesick feeling in my eyes. I'm going home, going home, where I belong. While I'm here, I'll serve him gladly and sing him all these songs. I'm here, but not for long. When I'm feeling lonely and when I'm feeling blue, it's such a joy to know that I am only passing through. I'm heading home. belong. While I'm here, I'll serve him gladly and sing him all these songs. I'm here, but not for long. One day I'll be sleeping when death knocks on my door, and I'll awake to find that I'm not homesick anymore, 'cause I'll be home, going home where I belong. Where I belong.
Do something just a little bit different right now. We like to kind of mix up the type of music we do. We're going to do an old Southern gospel song, a cappella. I think it's an old Blackwood Brothers song called Just a Little Talk with Jesus. 1, 2, 3.
I once was lost in sin, but Jesus took me in, and then a little light from heaven filled my soul. It filled my heart with love and wrote my name above, and just a little talk with Jesus made me whole. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry, answer by and by. Feel a little prayer will turn, and you know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. It makes it right. Sometimes my past seems drear, without a ray of cheer, and then a cloud of doubt may hide the light of day. The mists of sin may rise and hide the starry skies, but just a little talk with Jesus clears the way. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry, answer by and by. Feel a little prayer will turn, and you know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. It makes it right. I may have doubts and fears, my eyes be filled with tears, but Jesus is a friend who watches day and night. I go to him in prayer, he knows my every care, and just a little talk with Jesus makes it right. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry, answer by and by. Feel a little prayer will turn, and you know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. It makes it right. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry, answer by and by. Feel a little prayer will turn in, and you know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it right. It makes it right. Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about our troubles. He will hear our faintest cry, answer by and by. Feel a little prayer will turn, and you know a little fire is burning. You will find a little talk with Jesus makes it
Right!
It makes it right.
We'd like to do one more song for you tonight. We appreciate you allowing us to sing for you tonight. We do, again, want to thank everyone that's here. Don't forget, next we're going to have the ice cream social. We're going to have a little auction during the time of setup. Looks like they're already pretty well set up. One other thing, the Gospel Crusaders, as well as the Only Boys, do have some tapes for sale. If you do want to purchase some, we've got them back here, and I think they both run $7, or you can see whatever they are back there on the table. So if you want some, go ahead and pick up 10 or 12. So Okay, we're going to do one more song, and we're going to end kind of on a serious note tonight, and it's a good song called The King is Coming. The marketplace is empty, in the courtroom no defeats. All the builders' tools are silent, no more time to harvest wheat. Busy housewives cease their labors, in the courtroom no debate. Work on earth has been suspended as the King comes through the gate. Oh, the King is coming, the King is coming. I just heard the trumpet sounding, and now his face I see. The King is coming, the King is coming. Praise God, he's coming for me. Happy faces line the hallways, those whose lives have been redeemed. Broken homes that he has mended, those from prison he has freed. Little children and the aged, hand in hand stand all aglow, who were crippled, broken, ruined, clad in garments white as snow. I can hear the chariots rumble, I can see them marching throng. The flurry of God's trumpet spells the end of sin and wrong. Regal robes are now unfolding, heaven's grandstands all in place. Heaven's choir is now assembled, start to sing Amazing Grace. Oh, the King is coming, the King is coming. I just heard the trumpet sounding, and now his face I see. The King is coming, the King is coming. Praise God, he's coming for me. Praise God, he's coming, coming for me.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if we could get Lyle up here. I don't know, here he is. We'll have him do some auctioning here.
Let's celebrate first.
Haven't ever done this before.
Is there? Well, that must be over there.
What are we selling?
We're selling a brick.
What's the thing? Aulne School, 1873 to 1964. Well, yeah.
I don't know if you can see in there. There is a picture painted on there of the Aulne School, and I think this brick is from the Aulne School, right? So, this will be contributed to the, well, whatever it is, tonight. The cost of putting this on this evening. So, Lyle's going to auction it off. $1,000.
Well, is that your bid to start it?
Carl said he'd do it.
Carl said he'd do it. I tell you what, I'd take anybody's bid out there on who'd want to start the brick. Who tell me? Who give a couple hundred to start it? I don't know what a brick's worth. I could maybe tell you what a tractor's worth when we go up to sell it, but I'd take your bid on the brick. That's the only one we got. Yeah, it might be the only one left from the school. Who gives $25 to start it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Got 25, 150. 25 to get $50.
25, 35, 25 out of 35 and 35 and 25, 35, 25 out of 35 on there, but 35 and 35 out of 35 on there, but 35. Now 45, 45, 35, 40, 40 down the 40 to get a 40 to get a 40 down the 40 down the 40, 40, 40, 40, 40 to get a $40, $40 to 40 now 50 to get a $50, $50, 50 to get a $60, $60, 60 to 60, $60, 60 to get a $60, $60, 60 to get a 60 to get a 60 to get a 60, $60 to $60, 60 to get a $60, 50 here, 60 where, $60, 60 to get a $60, $60, 60 to 60 now $60, $60, 60 to get a $60, $60, 60 to get a 50 to 60, $60, 60 to get a $60, 60 to get a. I can stay here as long as you all will listen. Oh, 50. I don't want to stay very long. I'm ready to eat ice cream pretty quick. $50, $60. It won't stay very long. 50 to $60, 60 to get $60, and 70, 70, 70 to get 70 to get 70, $70, 70 to get $70, 70 down the bill, 170, but 70 to get 70, $70, 70 to get $70, $70, 70, but 70, take 65. Here we go one more time. $60, 5 to get 65, and 65, and 65, and 65, $65, 65, and 65, and 65, and 65, and 70.
Your head, you might buy it.
Okay, here we go. Last time. 65 and 65 and 65. Who's in here? Now 70. That's 70. Who is over here? I'm with Eugene. 65, $70. $70, 70 to get $70, 70. Now 5. 75 and 75. Your turn. Got, well, that's where you were? Oh, yeah. Then I won't take her bid too many times. Got $70, 75. 70 to get $5, 75, 75, 75. Where were we before? 75 and 75 and 75 and 75 and 75. $70, 5, 5, 75 and 75 and 75 and 75. Last time, here we go. 75 and $75, bid 75. Sold it here, $70. Thank you very much. All right. What do we have here, Terry? Look at this. Here's some things from the copper sheds. It's only 1887, 1987. There's 5 of them. My hometown, right in the center with the big A right there in the center. We got 5 of them. We're going to sell them. So much a piece. Right here. All right, who give $10 to start one here? I'd let you all in cheap. 2.5, $5. $5, 5 to get a $5 out of $5 beer to get a $5. 5, 7.5, 5 out of 7.5 and 7.5 out of 5 out of $7.5. 7.5 and not 10, 10 to get a $10, 10 and 10 and 10 to $10. $10, 10 and not 12.5 and 10 to $12.5. $10, 12.5 and 12.5 and 12.5 and 12. Limited offer. 10, 12.5 out of 12.5 and 12.5 and 10 to $12.5. I'm back there now. $10, 1 12.5. 12 and a half out of 12 and a half and 12 and a half, 12 and a half, $15, $15, 50 to get $15. Now 17 and a half, 17 and a half, and not 20, not $20, 20 to get $20, 20 down the bill, 20, not 2 and a half, 22 to have it at 5, 25 to get $5, 25 and 25 and 25, 22 to have it to get $5, 25 and 20 to get $5, 25, $25, 25 to get $5, 25 and 25 and 25 to get $5, 25. $25 and 25 and 25 and here we go. 25 out of 25 and 25. Sold it right here. 22 and a half.
Thanks.
You want one, Hank? I think we're going to be quitting making them after this. Well, yeah, that ain't very much. Yeah, he broke the mold after he made these few, so that's all we get. Here we go. $5, 10 for the next one. $10, 10 and 10 and 15 to get a $15. 15 and 15 to get a $15. 15 and $20. $20, 20 to get 20 to 25. 25, 25. 25 to get a $5. 25 and 25 to get a $5. 25. 25, 25 to get a $5. 25 and 22 and a half. 22 to get a half. 22 to get a half and 22 to half. Now 5. 25, 25 to get a $5. 7 and a half. 7 and a half and 27 and a half. 27 and a half to get 7 and a half. 7 and a half and 27 and a half and 7 and a half and 27, 50, 27 and a half to get 7, 50, 27 and a half. Sold it your way, $25.
Dwayne Priesting.
All right, clearing the back right there. Got 3 more. Here we go. $10, 15. 10 to get $15, 15 and 10 to 15 and 20. 20 down the bill, 20, 20 to get $20 bill, 20, 20, 20 to get 20 to 20. 20 down the bill, 20 to get 20 to get 20 down the bill, 1, 20, but 20, not 20, not $20. $20, 20 to get $20 bill, 20, not 20, not $20 bill. 15, 20 down the bill, now 20 pair, 20 down the bill, 1, 20, but 20 to get 20. 20, 17 and a half, now 20. Now $20, now 2 and a half, sir. 22 and a half, 22 and a half, now 5, 25 to get now 7 and a half, 27 and a half at about 27 and a half, 25, 7 and a half, 7 and a half to get 7 and a half at about 27, 15, 25, 7 and a half at about 7 and a half and 7 and a half and 25, 7 and a half, 7 and a half, 7 and a half. Sold it right here, $25. Yeah. Now how many we got? 2 more left. Oh, we're going. Yeah, now we got to get $50 for the last 2. Sure, here we go. Got 20, went 25. 25 out of 25, 25, $25 but 25, 25 out of 5 and 5 and 5 and 25 out of $5, 25. $25 but 25 out of 25 and 25 out of $25. 25 out of $5 but 25 and 25 out of 5 out of 22 and a half. 22 to the half out of 22 to the half and 22 to the half and 20. Last two of them. 22 to the half. Yeah. 22 to the half and 22 to the half and 2 to the half and 2 to the half and 22 to the half and 22 to the half and 22 and a half. Sold it your way. $20. All right, I got the last one going. The last one going. Now who give $50? Well, yeah, here we go. $10, 15, 10 out of $15, 15 and 10 out of $15, $15, 15 and $15, 15 and 10 out of $15, 15 and 15, $10, 15 and $15, 15 and 15 and now 20. Now 20 down the bill, $20. You say I got 15 here, sir. $20. Now 25. That's 25 out of 25. 25 and 5 and 5 and 25 out of $5, but 25. It's the last one. 25 and 25 out of 25, 20, now 30. Now $30 bill. I'm with Eugene. 25, $30. 30 on the bill, 1, 30 where? 30 on the bill, 30. Now 27 and a half. 27 and a half and 7 and a half and 27 and a half and 7 and a half and 25, 7 and a half. 7 and a half, 27 and a half and 7 and a half and 25 and 7 and a half and 750, 2750. 27 and a half out of 27 and a half and 7 and a half and 7 and a half and 25, 7 and a half. I sold it your way, $25. All right, now what do we have left? All right, folks, we had that good pork roast that was over there in the hole before, and we got some of it left.
These are, we weighed some of them. They weigh from 10 to 13, 13 and a half pounds.
There we go. They're weighing 10 to 13, 13 and a half pounds, the packages of pork.
And they're boned. They're ready to eat. There it is.
They're boned. There's no bones in it.
They're ready to go.
Ready to go.
We've got 11 of them.
There's 11 packages weighing between 10 and 13 and a half pounds. Well, yeah, how much would pork be per pound today?
That'd be a bunch.
Well, yeah.
It's worth 65 cents live.
Sure. All right, here we go. I tell you what I'd do. I'll give $10 per package, and I'll let you all bid from there. It'll be 10. That'll only be $1 a pound. That ain't bad. Got $10, 15. 10 to the $15 per package. There's 11 packages. 10 to the $15, 15, and 10 to the $15. I tell you what you can do. I could sell you 1, 2, or 3. I could sell you 3 packages. I won't let you take them all. So much a piece, and you can take 3 packages at a time if you'd like to. Here we go. 10, you get 15. $15, 15 to get 15, and now 20. Now $20 down the bill to 20, now $20 bill. $20, 20 to get 20 to $20, $20, 20 to 20, now 20. 20 down the bill to 20, now 20 down the bill, 17 and a half. Anybody 17 and a half? 17 to the half, 17 to the half, and 17 to the half. 17 to the half, 17 to the half, and 17 to the half, 17 and a half. 17 to the half, now $20 bill. $20, 20 to get 20 to $20, 20 down the bill, 120, but 20, not 20. Not 20 down the bill to 20, not 20 down the bill, 20 where? 20 down the bill, 120, but 20, not 20. Not 20 down the bill to $20 on the packages, the meat right there, and they're weighing 10 pounds at least. 17 and a half, $20, $20, 20 to get 20 to 20 down the bill to 20, not 20 down the bill to 20, but 20, not $20. $20, 20 to get 20 to 20 down the bill, 120, bid 20 last time. Here we go, 20 now, 2 and a half. 20 now, 2 to the half. 22 to the half, and 22 to the half. 22 to the half, and 22 to the half, and 22 to the half, and 22 to the half. 22 to the half, and 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 22 and a half, 22 and a half, 22 and a half. You bought it, $20. Where was I? Right over here, somewhere. There we go, $20.
How many did you want?
How many packages would you like?
1. Okay, let's just feel them out.
I'll tell you what, folks. As much meat's in each one of those packages, the guys that donated the meat to us said that that's exactly what they thought those packages ought to bring. Those packages, there's 11 of them. They're for sale for $20 per package. And you got first come, first serve on them. There's 11 of them. If you'd like to come and get one, why don't you come on up?
Come and
I
see
think,
us. We'll
and I
take
think
care
that
of
takes care of the auction. There's ice cream over there.
We got an ugly beard yet.
We got an ugly, yeah, we got an ugly beard contest. I vote for Eugene already, with or without the beard.
You want to just leave it in here?
But that's the deal on the meat, folks. If you'd like to come and buy a package, it's right here. There's 11 packages yet, or 10 of them left. 10 of them left.
How do we want to do this? Ugliest, best, and the nicest looking beard. And what else should we have? We have 3 prizes, so we got to give the grayest.
Suits me. That leaves
The
me
grayest beard. There we go. I know some that categorize for that.
Yeah.
So in the way of doing this, I don't know how we're going to vote on this. Let's get everybody from who grew beards for the Centennial to come up here and line up right down here. Would you please?
All the bearded wonders up here.
All the bearded.
It's a wonder.
I think
Come here, Russ.
all of our Centennial beards. Russ and Ern and
Ern,
Walt
Walt.
and Don Freesting.
Don.
Ed.
Jesse Richter.
Ed McGinnis. Jesse.
Jesse.
He ain't paying no attention.
None of you women can come up. I'm sorry.
Go ahead and just, yeah. If you want to carry them over in that, and then.
Everybody who grew a beard for the Centennial, come up here, please.
Get Jesse over there.
Yeah, look at these guys. Oh, we got more beards out there than this.
Jesse.
Jesse, you bet. Get Jesse up here.
He ain't paying
Look
no
at these guys. They've been growing them for years, right, Jerry? You've been waiting for 30,
You've been
40
getting
years.
ready for
10 years for this.
For 10 years.
We got Russ.
Russ is here. There he is.
Who else we got?
Ed McGinnis?
We got some more beards.
Where's Ed
Here
McGinnis?
we've got more. Where's Don?
Don?
Don Priestley. I know he's there. He is.
10 years
Here
just to
comes
do
Don.
that.
Where's
You're
Ed?
not eligible. This is just a short term.
Jerry talked me into it.
Yeah, there
Jerry
comes another
talked
one.
me
Lance,
into
he's
it.
got his whiskers.
Yeah. You guys are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the rest of the beards? I saw more than this out there. Maybe they weren't growing for the
There's
same
one.
thing.
There's one out there. Get him in there. Get that Johnny in there. He's got a gray one.
Well, I guess what we'll do. One of the easier ones we can pick right away. Let's just do this. We'll give a prize for the grayest beard. Let's take a look here. Who we got here? I don't know.
I think this one right here is going to have
Boy, I tell you what, we've got. I don't think Steve wins that one. I think Eldon's out of that one.
I think Jesse.
Jesse looks pretty gray to me.
What do you think?
Jesse? Russ is pretty gray.
Pretty gray. Look at her.
His ain't as... Well, get him up here.
All right, we're going to have a clap off
Clap
between
off
Jesse's beard and Russ's, whichever's the grayest. How we do this? Okay.
The loudest
Loudest
noise.
clap. The loudest clap is it gets the winner.
Whistle, whatever.
Okay, let's who should we? Let's just do Russ first over
Okay.
here. Everybody for Russ. Okay.
How about Jesse?
How about Jesse? Oh, I guess Jesse's got an uglier, grayer beard over here.
Well, I don't know about the ugly. It's
I don't
just
know.
great.
We
Here
got
you
a
go.
little disposable big shaver there and some chocolates. So you can eat them chocolates, get them in your beard, and then shave it off tonight.
Yeah, that's what's
Now
going to
then,
happen.
what else we got? Ugliest beard.
Ugliest beard.
We got some pretty ugly beards up here, I think. How about, what do you say out there?
Priesting?
You stay right in there.
I heard a nomination here.
Don Priesting, it's pretty ugly. Okay. Who else?
Ern?
Head.
Ern? How about it? Any others?
How many other nominations do we have? Well, we've got Ern and we've got
Ern and
Don
Don
nominated. And Eugene. Yeah, that's kind of ugly. Okay. Oh, we're not talking about people? Oh, okay. Oh, just look at the beard. Well, let's start with Don Priesting. Let's hear a clap here for Don. Okay, how about Eugene? That's pretty ugly. That's pretty ugly. What about Ern? I think Ern won the ugly beard contest.
Thank you.
Shave a razor to get out of this thing.
Yeah, razor. Oh, boy, one more.
Shaver dry. You want to go win something.
Best looking beard? How about that? Okay, you nominate. We'll say we'll give the prize. How about that?
Got Russ?
We got a Russ nomination. Who? The redhead.
Jerry.
Lance. We got a nomination for Lance. Lance, hey, what a beauty. Who else?
Jerry.
Eldon? Okay, there's three. Maybe we ought to just go down the line. Yeah. Let's go down the line. We'll go down the line. I don't know how we're going to do this. Let's start on this end and we'll go, or that end, or this end.
Start with that end.
We'll start with Lance. Everybody for Lance. What a guy. How about Eldon? How about Russ? Jerry. again?
No.
No, forget that. How about Walt? And how about Jesse? No, he won. How about Steve? And Eugene. This ain't very pretty. Come on, you guys!
I think we need to have a sound off between
I
a
think,
couple of them.
I think,
The first three, I think.
I think so too. Let's do Lance once again. Eldon
Hey, come on. Get it.
and Russ.
I
I think Eldon had got it. I'll never believe that.
Alan got it.
Okay, thank you.
We have,
How do you like that?
there has several people asked about buying a videotape of this thing. If you would like to get a videotape of this, some of you that are off from a distance, see us. We'll contact Gene and we'll work out some details. Give us your name and address and we'll go from there. I don't know anything about cost or anything like that. One other thing I'd like to know, how many out-of-staters do we have here? Let's just look here. Here's some from Oklahoma, some from Colorado, New York, Massachusetts, California. What? There's California. Any place else? Texas? Where? Hawaii? Baloney! We'd like to sure thank you all for coming. We're going to have some ice cream now. As Rick said, there's going to be a can up there if you'd like to put any donations in. We'd sure appreciate that. And then you can turn your chairs around, and as soon as it gets a little bit darker, we're going to have some fireworks. Thanks for coming. We've had a great time, and you made it possible for us. Thanks a lot.